A little while ago I said I was going to be counting down my top 50 favorite games of all time, and I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to do since I'm also going to be doing the top games that you guys like as well. I haven't really done any video like this in a long time. I think the last time I'd done anything like this was probably with Prince of Persia or with the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild review. I want to also say before I do this, you're going to probably question a lot of my decisions, but as we all know, we all have those guilty pleasures. We all have those games that a lot of people would see as bad, but to them are really good. And we also have those games that are amazing on the list as well. So if you think like, well, why wasn't this game in the top 50? And it's like, there's so many games that all of us have played and it's so difficult to put them into one list. And that's why certain games are there, certain games aren't there, and certain games got pushed back, certain games are above others. This was really difficult, more difficult than I thought it was going to be, and I even had to change what my favorite game of all time was when I thought about it for a long time. But this part of the list wasn't that difficult. It's the 50, it's 50 to 49, or 50 to 40 I guess I should say. I don't know how to describe it. It'll be better in the title. This is my top 50 favorite games of all time, part 1. Now I'm already cheating when it comes to number 50, it's Dead Island 1 and of course the Riptide, which was kind of like a DLC or a standalone DLC. These games got a lot of shit when they came out and probably deservingly so. These games came out when these games had this amazing trailer attached to it. The trailer basically showed a family getting attacked by zombies. It looked really emotional, everyone was kind of into it, and then when it came out it was basically kind of like an open world zombie game on a holiday resort. Now here's the thing, I genuinely believe, and I've had discussions with people about this, that if they told us that from the start, hey, you get to fight zombies on a holiday resort, I don't think many people would have been like, oh, this is shit. I think a lot of people were like, this is amazing, but a lot of people kind of like expected something different, and that's not their fault, it's the trailer's fault and it's the actual marketing team's fault. I do believe though that this game is one of the most fun games I've ever played in my life. I continually go back to this game, and when the remaster came out I played it as well. Kind of a shameless plug, you can find me playing the first remastered game on my channel. This game to me is fantastic. I think the Riptide is great as well. It's not as good as the first one. The story is horrible. The story is terrible. The voice acting is dreadful. The characters are dreadful. Any type of emotion in the game is not present. You can try and be emotional in this game, and I'm sure there are people that are, but there is nothing good about the story in this game at all. But the combat is addictive. The upgrading of the weapons is addictive. The freaking game is beautiful. You get to drive around a holiday resort in a car. Yeah, it gets weird when they go to the jungle, but I still think that it's a freaking fantastic game, and I played it so many times that I feel like it's criminal not to put it on this list, and that's why it's number 50. So this is kind of a weird choice for this next part of the list, and a lot of people when they talk about their favorite Bethesda game, they will put Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, they'll put Oblivion in the list. That's not present in my list at all, and I know probably that's going to rub people the wrong way, but this is Skyrim and it's at number 49. I don't play that many Bethesda games, but I do credit them at like opening up the idea of opening open world to other people, and it did create a lot of better games for me personally. Skyrim is a game that I feel like a lot of people don't put in their list because they take it for granted. This is a game that honestly like people shit on a lot now, but like even though the combat is kind of weird, this game is still like so freaking amazing. It's so good. Like you can start Skyrim, and personally I do start Skyrim. You start Skyrim and then like all of a sudden 24 hours have passed and you're like, what the fuck happened? Like I did so much, but then again I did so little in real life. My whole world is gone. Do you remember that week when Skyrim came out originally and you never saw your friends? Nobody saw their friends for so freaking long? That was so much fun. I had to wait until Christmas. I had to stay outside and everyone else was like freaking inside. It was horrible. But I eventually got to play it and I loved it. I played it on easy originally, and of course then I went to normal. I was that kid who played everything on easy because I wasn't that good at video games. But yeah, I think Skyrim deserves this place on the list. I love this game a lot. I feel like the first 3 games on this list are giving people like aneurysms and people are going crazy, and that's funny to me. That's hilarious. Until Dawn deserves to be on this part of the list. This is a game again that didn't try to be anything but what it was. It is a B-movie horror game from the 80s that is placed in the modern day Canada that basically kind of takes all the horror tropes and explores them all. It doesn't care that everything's a trope. It doesn't care that everything's predictable. That's because it's supposed to be a horror movie. Also, choices actually matter in this game. You can choose whether a character lives or dies, and I think each character has 4 chances to die throughout the game, and to me that is crazy, and that's amazing, because that's something you don't get in Telltale games. Because in Telltale games, someone will die in your game, the season will end, and then the next season will start with that character dying no matter what, because they need to have everyone have the same game. Not shitting on Telltale, I think The Walking Dead's fantastic. But I love Until Dawn as well. It was funny to me, I played it through 3 times, I think this game is perfect for what it is, and not many games can say that they're perfect for what they are, for what they do, and I think Until Dawn is definitely that. Are you annoyed at me yet? Here comes Brutal Legend. I don't know, I don't remember when I bought this game, but I bought it for the Xbox 360 originally, and I played it because I love heavy metal, and I remember playing through it and just for the tracks and playing the music, and I would travel around the place listening to Cradle of Filth and listening to Ozzy Osbourne. I remember unlocking Tenacious D's songs were great as well. This game has a few issues. It goes on for too long, the pacing is a bit weird. No one really wanted to play a real-time strategy game about heavy metal. I understand that. To me, I was really obsessed with it as a kid, and I remember like bringing my other friend over who was also like a metalhead and being like, hey dude, you gotta see this, look at this, you can like shred people's faces off with a guitar while listening to like Motley Crue. It's freaking fantastic. And of course Jack Black does a great job in the game as well, because again he fits the tone of the game. Ophelia is still one of my favorite characters. I love her to pieces. Jesus Christ, I'm probably pissing someone. Don't worry, the list gets better. The list gets better. I feel like the first 10 on this list are just gonna piss people off. I don't know why. Crash Bandicoot 3 is here in the top 50, but it's pretty low on the list. There is a reason why it's pretty low on the list. It's because Crash 2 is pretty high on the list. I'll just admit it right now. But to be in someone's top 50, I still think is amazing. And Crash 3 definitely deserves to be here. I think that the Crash series is honestly my favorite platforming series, bar Spyro the Dragon. To me, like, the difficulty is what's so good about it. The character designs are what's so good about it. Crash Bandicoot himself was always a funny character to me. It was one of those games I think all of us, and especially in like Ireland, I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, or I know how it is in the UK because it's pretty similar. When you were a kid and you went to the shop and there was a Crash Bandicoot game there, you buy that Crash Bandicoot game. You don't freaking leave it there. You know, if you're allowed to buy one video game, you buy Crash Bandicoot, you buy Spyro the Dragon, whatever game is there. It doesn't matter if it's like a new shitty game, it doesn't matter if it's like a really crappy like mobile game or a Game Boy game, you buy that game because it's Crash Bandicoot. It's so recognizable. And Crash Bandicoot 3, again, is not my favorite of all the platforming series, but I still think it's a really fantastic game. I really do. So next on this list is Spyro the Dragon 2. Now Spyro 1 and 3 are all on this list, but Spyro the Dragon 2 is here on the list is because it's still better than the majority of video games I've played in my life. But it's too complicated. For me and my sister, when we played it as a kid, it's very emotional to me because me and my sister played it together and that's why it's on the list. But we found it very complicated. We remember beating all the levels and getting to the last part of the game and then they're telling us that we had to go back and redo levels. That was something that we didn't even want to do. We kind of just like left it for so long. I wasn't that type of kid, you know, until I played Final Fantasy X that I just went really involved into video games. But Spyro 2 still is like precise. It's still like still fantastic at world building. It still has fantastic villains, a lot of great comedy moments. Who remembers when Hunter nearly bet the crap out of that freaking wizard lady? That was pretty awkward, right? It introduced Hunter, which again a lot of people don't like, but I think he's actually a pretty cool character. It introduced multiple characters in the game, it wasn't just Spyro, so I have to give a lot of credit for that as well. So this is the first of many fighting games on this list, and I think it actually deserves to be here in a lot of ways, and this is Tekken Tag Tournament 2. This game came out, I think, somewhere around 2010 to 2013, I think it came out in. This game is special to me, not only because it's Tekken, because I think Tekken's the greatest fighting series of all time, but for me with Tekken, I would play those games religiously, but this is a game that I played with my friends non-stop. I remember them coming over and kicking my ass, and like it's a very easy game to get involved with because there was people who never played video games that came over and would beat me and my friends in it as well. And not that we're fantastic at Tekken games. But to talk about the game itself and why it's good, because I feel like I talk about the emotions more than the actual game itself. I just think, again, it's a very, very precise video game. It works well, the controls work well. There's never a time where like you hit a button and it doesn't come out. Like whatever you do, it happens. There's no really complaints when it comes to a Tekken game, because you can't really complain about it, because if you lose in a Tekken game, and especially in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, you're the one who sucks, and I think that's the sign of a good video game. You can't really complain about it. Not that I do complain, I always blame myself before the video game. Also has like the largest roster of freaking characters I think I've seen in a Tekken game. It's insane the amount of characters you can play as. A lot of, you know, canon-wise, obviously it's not canon. Don't fight me on this, it's not canon. Jun Kazama cannot be in a fucking video game. She can't. She cannot. You cannot play as Jun Kazama, I'm sorry. Or you just can't. You just can't. Where would like a top 50 list or be without like freaking... Where would this list be without Simpsons Hit and Run? This is the greatest Simpsons game of all time. This just is. And the reason why it's so low on the list is because I haven't played it in like 5 years, and I feel like I should, like all the games on my list that I have on like higher up, I've played recently or I've played again, and I know they're good. So like that's why they're there on the list. Simpsons Hit and Run is a game that I know is good, but I feel like like if I went back to it I might hate it or I might love it more. So until I go back to it, it's there on the list. And that's what I should mention, this list is interchangeable. Simpsons Hit and Run offered this kind of like really cool world that you forgot was a racing track. The whole like city was a racing track. But I remember when I was a kid, the best parts about those games weren't actually the racing. I loved the racing, but I used to finish the game and then go back to Marge Simpson's level and just literally just roam around the building. I used to pretend that my house was Mr. Burns' house, because you could go into Mr. Burns' house. You could go into the power plant in Homer's level. You could drive around the cars in the video game that were absolutely beautiful. Who didn't like driving around that pink sedan with the roof off? Like, it was so great. Getting to meet all the characters in the game, like meeting Snake for the first time was really funny. Meeting Chief Wiggum. There's like a lot of exploits you can use for the game as well that I learned throughout time, and like it made the game so much easier. But I really do I'm actually like thinking this game should be higher. No, Calvin, it's there on the list. We're keeping it there for now, okay? Maybe 10 years from now I'll do another top 10. Family Guy the video game. Again, so low because I haven't played it since I was like freaking like 11 years old. But I got this video game because I was obsessed with Family Guy as a kid. I actually got like Family Guy season 3 on DVD for Christmas one time by accident, because it was in my brother's pile, who was much older than me at the time, and it fell into my pile, and my parents didn't want to tell me that at that point that Santa, you know, is a good guy, is a great guy. But you know, I played this game, yeah, again, non-stop. No matter what, I would play it every day. I could finish it and start to finish from the start. Like, I would wake up in the morning at 9 o'clock on the summer holidays. I would start the Family Guy game and finish it all in one day. And it wouldn't take that long. But I remember, like, I knew that game off by heart, in and out. All the little jokes, all the little characters. A lot of it was pretty racist, I remember, when I look back at it now. But it was, like, still such a freaking good game. And I shouldn't be saying that because that's bad. But I really do love the Family Guy game. Again, it was kind of like a beat 'em up slash a stealth game slash a shooting game. It kind of had all three of them in it. My favorite of the three was Brian's, because it was a stealth game, and it was actually pretty good stealth missions, if I do say so. Yeah, I think it definitely deserves to be on this list, for sure. This game, putting in this part of the list, I struggled with a lot. Dragon Quest VIII is one of the greatest games I've ever played. In fact, it's still in the top 41 games I've ever played in my life. It's kind of like, it's really weird how much I'm struggling with this game, because I feel like it should be higher. Like, on any day this could be in the top 10, but for some reason when I was writing this list I put it here, and I think it's a good way to top off this part of the list as well. This game is so special, and it doesn't get as much in recognition as Final Fantasy, but I think that if you took this game and put it up against a lot of the Final Fantasy series, most of it, you could probably say that this is one of the greatest games of all time, or even better than a lot of the Final Fantasy games. I played the 3DS version. I bought it for €24. It was the best deal I think I've ever gotten in a video game. I played that game for, I think, what could have been like 60 hours. And I still couldn't get enough. I unlocked every single character in the game you could use as an ally. I did all the side quests that you do, and all the little different things you can do, all the little like collecting monsters. I did everything, and none of it was boring. Everything was special. It was even emotional. The story is fantastic. It doesn't bog you down with the story either. You can have hours and hours without seeing a cutscene, but like you still feel like you're doing something. And I think that's why it deserves to be on my list, in my view. But I feel like it should be higher, and I'm kind of upset that I didn't put it higher. But hey, what can you say? So guys, thank you for watching this video. The next 40 should be out in the next month or two. I'm gonna do it whenever I can, but the list does get way better. In fact, what I could probably say is you can expect games like Shadow of the Colossus, you can expect games like Persona 4, you can expect games like Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, you can expect games to be on the list like Spyro, other games like the Tales series. You can expect so many other games like The Witcher. So many other games can be on this list, and you're going to be able to tell after a while why this part of the list probably wasn't as good as you guys believe it is. But for me, I think all these games are really good for myself, and that's why they're on my list. The community video as well with all your games will be coming out after I finish this list, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. I'll see you guys very soon.